Welcome to the Disney Parks Podcast, your Disney infotainment podcast. Keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast at all times, and get ready for the Disney Parks Podcast.
Ooh. Hey, welcome everybody. Today we have an awesome show. We have AJ Wolfe. She is a powerhouse in the digital media and the ultimate expert when it comes to Disney dining and travel. AJ is a writer, a journalist, a speaker, an entrepreneur, and a media creator. She's the founder and owner of Cambrick Yard Media and the driving force behind the Disney Food Block, a go-to resource that reaches every point of the earth from Disney fans all over on multiple platforms. She has now written a book. She's adding author to this. Well, she did a lot of authoring. But she's now added a book to this called Disney Adults, Exploring and Falling in Love with the Magical Subculture. So, AJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tony. Tony and I go way back. We have known each other for 100 years.
Yeah. At least I've been in Orlando 15 years, so it's probably close to that.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. We'd like to ask everybody, so how did your journey with Disney begin? What bit the bug?
Yeah, well, I went to Disney as a kid with my parents. We would go on vacation in, we'd go and stay at a condo, in a beach in Florida or something. Yeah. And then they would drive us over to Disney for, rope drop to fireworks. And this was 1985. So just two parks at that time. Yep. And so that's kind of how I started my Disney connection. I mean, everybody watches the movies and stuff. I had,
Sunday
little golden
night television.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but it was the parks for me that grabbed a hold of me. So as I kind of grew up, I convinced my parents to take us to the parks a couple more times when I was a teenager. And then my Disney adulthood really started when I was in college, and I was, I started putting trips to Disney on my credit card.
The financial thing to do in college.
It was a super good idea.
Yeah. So then, after that, so like what inspired you then? I mean, you've written a lot of things about Disney. Obviously, that's what you do. But why the book on Disney adults? How did this come about? What made you, put pen to paper and get this rolling?
Well, I've always wanted to write a book. That's always been kind of my goal and what I've always wanted to do. Simon & Schuster approached me and said, "Hey, we'd love to do a book with you." Mm-hmm. And this is the one we kind of landed on, which is very exciting because it's not an easy book to write. And it's very timely. It's something that I think people are curious about. It's something that I think people think they understand and know. But it's honestly, I learned so much writing this book, and I think there's a lot more in there than anybody would ever expect. Whatever you think's in there is probably in there, but there's a ton more.
How would you describe a Disney adult? If, somebody comes up and says, AJ, what is a Disney adult? What does that even mean?
And this is what we had to figure out from the beginning, because again, people throw that term around, and it was, it was first coined back in like 2010. But nobody really knows what it means, and nobody really knows if they are one. And so we had to sort of figure out what encompasses that, that tribe, that community. And I talked to a bunch of psychologists about it, which is probably good. And wow. What we landed on was that a Disney adult is someone who willingly welcomes Disney into their life, whether that's by, they choose to watch the movies, they choose to listen to Disney music, they choose to go to the parks.
Mhm.
And so if they are doing that kind of regularly, not just like, oh, I have to take my kids to Disney World because the law, then
Right.
if they're like, no, I'm gonna have Disney be a part of my life a little bit more often, then that's a Disney adult.
Yeah. There's a lot of, people, other Disney adults. How did you, go through the process of picking people and how did you kind of hone their voice and their, what they were going to say in their content? I mean, you can tell somebody what to say, but maybe you're pulling stories from them. So what was your process for that? And how did you go about that?
Yeah, a lot of it was just people who were willing to talk to me. I think that Disney
Now,
adult,
AJ is very easy to talk to people. Please do not be scared of walking up to AJ saying hello.
but the term Disney adult scares people.
Sure.
And a lot of folks don't want to claim that. And so, when I would reach out to my audience and say, is there anybody who is interested in telling me their story?
Mm.
I got a lot of responses, a lot of different types of people, and talked to a lot of folks who, all walks of life, all socioeconomic status, all race, all political, mindsets. Because this is a huge community and it really does cover every single quadrant. And so that's basically, I talked to everybody. I talked to everybody I could, and I pulled some stories that I thought gave a good broad understanding of how different Disney adults can be and how different how diverse we are as a community.
Yeah. Did anybody have a story that kind of shocked you? Like, ooh, whoa, what was that? Where did that come from? Are you sure you're talking about Disney and not something else?
Well, and that's what's so fascinating is that a lot of these stories include Disney, but they aren't necessarily about Disney, and so many people that I talk to, either their love of Disney or how Disney came to be a part of their life has so much to do with their family or with someone who was close to them when they were younger or with an experience that happened to them. There's one person I spoke to who is I think a fascinating story. Her name is Julia. She is an above the knee amputee. She lost her leg in a car accident, and she's a Disney fan, but I don't know that I would necessarily say she's a Disney crazy, kind of like you and me, Tony. Like she likes it. She has fun with it. But the way Disney kind of came into her life is her family had decided to run a 10K race, and she wanted to run it with them, even though she had lost her leg. So she was like, okay, let me figure out how to do this. She's a big fan of Disney. She likes Disney, but I think that kind of cemented for her, this is, that this was an interesting, that this was an option, that she could go to Disney and they wouldn't make her take off her prosthetic limb, which they actually do at other theme parks, make you take off limbs to ride some rides. And so she was able to feel very comfortable there in a way that she couldn't in other places.
Yeah. Did you seem to, in listening to everybody's story, was there a common thread, obviously, besides Disney, that you thought, oh, this is interesting, how people are, all connected?
Not at all.
No
common threads. It was wild, Tony, because people just, again, from all walks of life, from everywhere, people who would have real problems with each other in some respects were still, connected and united by the fact that they love this particular, giant media conglomerate. So that's the thing that I thought was so fascinating, is that the only thread really was that, people love, having a hard time with my hat today,
That's
Tony.
Okay.
That people do love, that lots of different people love this. Lots of different people are completely, I guess, consumed by Disney.
Yeah. It was interesting. A couple of years ago, I kind of was reflecting back on like what Disney means to me. Obviously, I have a personal connection to, and it was bringing my kids and then my grandkids. It was, for me. But with my friends that I've made down here, Disney is the continuity glue that kind of holds us together. Not holds us
Yeah.
together, but we go to the parks and we don't ride anything. We just walk around and people watch and, we'll grab a snack or grab a drink or grab something to eat or whatever. And that's it. If we ride nothing, well, that was fine. We were together. We had an experience together in the park, whatever park it was. And we left and that was that. So,
Yeah.
it means, I guess, something different for everybody.
Absolutely. I think it really does. And
Yeah.
it depends on how far away you live, how,
Yeah.
do you have the money to get an annual pass and go regularly, or are you
Right.
more interested in the merchandise or the music or
Yeah.
or the movies? There's so many different things that Disney produces. I mean, they own everything at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah. You should do a book about all the crazy collectible people. Whether it's pins or the little furry things they used to have, and then vinylmation and books, and you can't see two bookcases full of Toy Story things, thank God. But I collect Toy Story stuff, so you should do a book about
Yeah.
all the people and the little fandoms of collectible things. People collect everything. Napkins, Twizzle sticks was a thing. So yeah, you should.
Oh, totally. But
Yeah,
back when we were kids, probably people did matchbooks, right?
yeah,
That's when they give
matchbooks. Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
at
yeah,
restaurants and stuff.
yeah. I had a matchbook collection for a while.
Yeah.
When did you think or find out or dawn on you that, oh, wait a minute, hold on, I'm a Disney adult? When do you think that?
I mean, probably before Disney adult was a term,
Mm,
it's funny because in the book, I quote a message board thread where someone back in 2012 was like, or not even 2012, earlier than that, I think, but they were
yeah,
like, what should we call ourselves, guys?
mm,
Like, what should
yeah,
we call this weird group of people who just love Disney so much?
right,
And I think we all sort of knew that we were one of them, whatever it was,
yeah,
way back when. And that's probably when I started to go to Disney, when I was in college, when I started to go by myself on solo
right,
trips down to Disney World. I was like, yeah, this is probably not normal for most college students. So I guess it's just me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
this is something a lot of people don't choose to do.
yeah. I remember Deb Wills talking about this. It probably goes back, back to the 80s or early 90s, in probably message boards. There were message boards for Disney people. And who's on message boards? Not the kids, the adults were.
Right.
So they were seeking out other like-minded,
Yep.
crazy Disney fans. So, um,
And that's actually right about in the book. When I
mhm.
in 2003, I would stay late at work to print out trip reports,
Yeah,
from Disney Worlds,
yeah.
and read those on my commute because I took the Staten Island ferry to and from
Oh,
work
yeah,
every
yeah.
day, and I would read I would read. Hey, it was free. It was
Yeah,
free, man.
that's right.
But I would read I would read the trip reports, just
Right.
reams and reams of paper of trip reports back and
Yeah.
forth. And you're
Oh,
right, that wasn't kids writing
yeah.
those or reading
No.
those. That was us.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you mentioned using Disney as a coping mechanism through tough times. Um, is this something you use or something you've read, through people's stories that, oh, I was having a tough time and then I, was using Disney. I was going to Disney. I was watching Disney movies. I was listening to Disney music. Were people using this as a coping mechanism? Because
I think a
I've
lot of
heard people say it before.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do to an extent. And something I kind of I dig into a little bit in the book is how do you know when that's an unhealthy coping mechanism, right?
Yeah.
How do you recognize when maybe you're you're putting too much importance on Disney
Mm,
in terms of your happiness.
right.
So I dig into that a little bit. Again, talk to a bunch of psychologists about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and and it's different for everybody. I mean, for some people, it is a coping mechanism, but it's
Mm,
not affecting them or anyone else negatively, and they absolutely are benefiting from it. There's two different kinds of nostalgia. There's two different kinds of kind of leaning on your memories
mm,
for I get not sustenance but for happiness to an extent.
right.
And I think that again, the line is different for everybody when it starts to become a problem versus
Yeah.
when it's just absolutely healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you even talk about, fan addiction, you know,
Hmm.
and and I found out who my crazy friends were when the park shut down for COVID, right?
Yeah.
Then you find out who really went off the. It's like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. I have to go. When they start saying things like that, you're like, okay, calm down. You need some help. We'll figure this
Yeah.
out. Just not together right now. you know but
Yeah. Totally.
so you talk about that addiction. So what are signs, or what is a healthy relationship with a hobby or Disney, right? What does that look like?
Yeah, and I think this is a really good question, because I definitely got to the point where it was unhealthy, right? I mean, I had run up my credit cards thousands and
Mm,
thousands and thousands of dollars, because I was unhappy in my life, in my job, and I used Disney as an escape from that. And it was I realized, okay, this is not cool. But bottom line is, if you are starting to I guess if you're starting to neglect your
yeah,
responsibilities, your family, your job, your health,
yeah,
um, because you are doing something too much, going somewhere too much, buying something too much,
yeah,
that's when you need to start worrying. Is when you haven't, you haven't talked to your family in like 6 months because they're just going to whine about you doing this
right,
thing that they think is that's when you have to start going, okay, my life is being adversely affected by this thing that I love so
yeah,
much.
yeah. um I guess social media and online communities kind of feed into this too, right? If you are a Disney fan, you could certainly go on any social media platform and find a group of, let's say, like-minded Disney adults. And
Yeah.
do you think that the social media maybe feeds that problem a little bit more?
1,000%. I
Yeah,
mean, I think that I think it not only feeds an addiction if you have one,
yeah,
but I think it also can make you feel downright horrible about yourself. Something that I
yeah,
found from a lot of my interviews, people were like, I was like, do you get negative feedback on your Disney fandom,
mm,
by your friends, families,
yeah,
colleagues? And a lot of them said, not really, but I really don't like other Disney adults.
yeah,
And I thought that was fascinating. I'm like, okay, I did not expect that.
yeah,
Why? And what came out was that the hierarchy that that happens in Disney, in the Disney adult community, or our tribe, can be very difficult for people who maybe
mhm,
aren't at the top of the hierarchy if they can't afford the annual pass or they don't want
right,
to buy it.
yeah,
They're just not like there are things that they will get. I guess they'll be looked down upon because they
right,
haven't ridden this ride or been to this hotel or whatever. And so they're
yeah,
not welcomed into the community in the same way that someone who has done all that stuff
right,
is. So
right,
hierarchy, I think, can make people feel really bad about themselves sometimes. And when they're just scrolling social media constantly and they're like, well, I haven't done all these things that everyone else has done, and therefore I don't fit into my tribe the same way.
yeah,
It's weird, and I hate that for
right,
us, but I think that happens in every community,
sure,
online or otherwise, and I connected a lot to church communities because 'cause I've been a part of several church communities where
okay,
you see the same thing. You see
yeah,
people
sure,
who are like, "Oh, we're better than you because of X, Y, or Z." It's
right,
like the whole high school "you can't sit with us" thing,
hmm,
and, you do kind of see that because that's human nature, and
right,
that's something else that I realized writing this book is there is nothing here that isn't indicative. It's not, of it's a macrocosm, of human nature. We're looking at people who are chasing something they love to experience it more,
yeah,
running from things they're scared of so that they don't have to do those things and they can go do what they like instead.
right,
People trying to look for being, part of a community, part of a tribe, part of a
sure,
family.
yeah,
So it's all there, and it's fascinating.
yeah. Two things. One is, I think social media feeds into FOMO, the fear of missing out. People, posting their trips or doing stuff, and like, I didn't do that. I have to go. So there's a lot of that. I get that. But I also then feel that Disney kind of builds this classification in not in the community. They just build it because they can. There's let's say Golden Oak, Club 33, Deluxe Resorts, Modern Resort, Value Resorts. They really should name those something else. Like, I can't afford this. This is more middle of the road, and this is the ghetto of Disney living. You know, something else. But I feel that they're doing it. And a quick funny story. I called up the people at Golden Oak maybe a year or two after they opened it. I said, would you guys come on and just talk about what Golden Oak is? I'm sure all my listeners would be interested. And they're like, well, we don't think you're podcast people or the audience we're looking for. I said, well, I don't care if you're looking for them, but maybe they're just interested in what's going on. And maybe, I don't know, 3 months after that, at one of my meetups, this woman is there, and I'm talking to her, and she's like, I said, where do you live in the Orlando area? And she says, well, I live in Golden Oak. I said, oh, really? I said, I called him up again. I said, hey, I had somebody at my meetup that lives in your community. Do you still not want to come and talk to us?
Right.
She said no. She said no. I said, okay, fine.
It's wild. It is wild to me. Like, but yes, it's that whole thing where there is that FOMO, and there's that whole, like, are you a fully fledged member of this community if you don't have a housing, if you're not Club 33 or House of Golden Oak or whatever? And it's like, absolutely you are. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't have a single loungefly bag up on my wall. That does not mean that I'm not part of this community,
Yeah, I have, an empty bank account. Not me. I'm not saying that.
Is that cool?
Yeah. If I show you my empty bank account and all the money spent to Disney in a spreadsheet, would you say, oh, okay, now? Yeah,
I know.
It's interesting. So now there's like, there's subgroups like, the Dapper Days and other, Disney Bounders and things like that. So how does that fit into the Disney adulting? Because obviously kids aren't Dapper Day fans. They're not, dressing up in their little Cinderella, although they could and they should. But
they don't.
They don't, but they could.
I think that was one of the most interesting things to kind of look at and research for me, because I do feel like in 2020, during the pandemic, we saw a lot of people move online, right? We all had to go online because we had nowhere else to go.
Right.
And so what happened was this Disney adult community online got much bigger. And I'm also seeing it start to niche down, like splinter down into other communities. There's a whole Galactic Star Cruiser community right now, right? There's Dapper Days, there's Gay Days, there's all these different ways that you can basically exercise your love of this particular community and this particular brand. And so everyone can find their niche community within the larger tribe. So I do feel like the Disney adult community is much, much bigger than anybody ever thought it was. And I think that's an important point to make. But also that we're also starting to filter down into specializations, of what we love. So I think that's very cool to look at and to study.
Yeah. Do you think Disney, in their grand wisdom, thinks about the Disney community and how it operates and changes, like, oh, this is really the target audience, or maybe this is for this, or do you think they're actually thinking about that, or they're just going, this is for everybody, we don't care?
I hope so. And if they're not, I think they will soon. Because I do think that a lot of what they create parks wise is created due to traffic flow, right? It's like, okay, we need another, D ticket ride over here. We need another A ticket ride over here. And that's, they figure it out for traffic flow basically. But in terms of, the IP that goes into that ride, or maybe what kind of restaurant you're going to create over here. I do think that they don't I don't think they have a choice but to look at the community that's consuming their product and see how it's changing, because it's absolutely changing. Every movie they put out, it changes a little bit.
Sure.
And every park they build, every ride they change. And so although they will not admit it or say it, I guarantee that they are absolutely looking at this particular community and kind of seeing where where the stars in our eyes go. And something that I talk about in the book is the whole blue sky thing, right? The whole blue sky thing from D23 a couple of years ago, where,
don't worry about it. Fine.
Just take it off. Is that it's like slipping down over my eyeballs like this. Is that, when Josh Tomorrow was like, hey guys, here's what we might do.
Yeah, they didn't tell us anything.
Of course, they've never done that before, right?
Yes.
They've never let a maybe out. But how brilliant was it to do that? Because then they immediately got feedback from everywhere, from people saying, yes, I'd love this. No, that's stupid. Why are they doing that? Shouldn't they do this instead? So being able to see all of those reactions that otherwise they would have to wait until the thing opened to get, so smart. I'm like, of course they're going to like float these ideas and see what we say. And if that wasn't their intention, I don't know what was, but giving us all the opportunity to react online to these.
And that, because I think they put out that concept art and then just troll the social media to see the comments, and then go, well, because you'll see it changes every time they put it out. It's something different. They move things around. Signs are missing with buildings or whatever.
There's 1,000 things that go into that. I understand that. It goes from budget to operations needs, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, they're also doing tons of behind the scenes polling and, guest surveys. But I think that was so smart of them to do, to just be like, hey guys, here's what we're thinking about. And then they get to look and see what we think about it.
Right. So when Riviera opened, I had a chance to stay there, and I went downstairs and I took a tour of the DVC. I want to see all their rooms that they had to offer. And one room they showed us is the studio room. It doesn't have a bed in it. It's a Murphy bed, right? There's no bed in it. There's a bathroom, and in the bathroom is the closet, and it looks like an apartment in Manhattan. It's like maybe 175 square feet. And I said to the woman, I said, who is this room for? I said, not a family of four. No. Because there's only a bed for two people. She said, well, this is more adults, like grandmas and grandpas that want a room, maybe at the same resort as their family, or not, or they're just coming down for a little weekend getaway. I said, really? I said, all right, that's interesting. And then I noticed their advertising changed. It was not geared towards adults or, I'm not going to say grandparent type people, but it was more younger families. And I was like, wow, the whole advertising changed as well. So what I always feel they need is a focus group, and it should change. Like, maybe you get to do it for a quarter or a couple months, but it should be a very diverse. It should have new fans, old fans, young fans, fans from all over the world. And just, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. What do you think? Just give us your opinion. I would love for them to just try it once, just to see how it would go. But I don't think they care about our opinion. They're going to do what they need to do.
They're trying to do that with guest surveys, right? They're trying to send out those email surveys and see what people are thinking about it. But I do think that them sort of dropping that blue sky stuff on social media is exactly what you're talking about, because they get the feedback from all over the place. And they get to see kind of how these, they get to see how those of us who are, enmeshed in it
Yeah.
are going, well, what if they did this? And what if they did this? And what if they did this? Right. And
Right.
that could potentially give them
Mhm.
ideas.
Yeah. Sure.
But also I think they get to see how, all different demographics of people respond to what they're thinking
And they
about.
drop very different surveys. I get one every time I go, which is fine. I
Yeah.
don't mind doing it. I always love the last question. Can we add this survey to all the other information we've collected about you? I love that
Oh,
question.
great.
I love that question. So here's what I did recently, AJ. I wrote to them and I said, I would like a copy of all the data you've collected about me.
No.
And I recently got a message back. It's taking us a lot longer than we anticipated to collect all your data. I said, well, I've been going since 1976. I can imagine it's quite a file.
Wow, that is fascinating.
I'm expecting a hard drive in the mail.
Right.
Like a
maybe
terabyte hard drive.
Maybe a stone tablet with like lots of hieroglyphics on it. Oh my word.
Yeah. Here's pictures of you when you were 13.
Interested to see if you get anything.
Yeah, I'll let you know. Let's talk about the Disney food blog. How did that start? It's massive. It's been collecting data for how long have you been doing that?
Oh, I've been doing it for 16 years.
16 years. 16 years worth of Disney food is cataloged over at the Disney food blog, I'm sure. But how did it come about? How did that happen for you?
It came about because I was, a huge, huge Disney fan. And at the time, you remember, Disney didn't publish their menus, right? Deb was the only one that had all the menus on her site.
Mm-hmm.
So Disney didn't publish menus. You didn't see any pictures of their food. There was no Parks blog.
Nope.
They didn't interact, with anybody. Yeah. And so I was like, well, I don't live in Orlando and I have to travel there. And when I'm there, I'm only there for a few days. And so if I'm going to spend this much money on food, I want to know what I'm getting.
Yeah.
And back then you had to book those restaurants 6 months in advance. And,
right.
how did you decide what you wanted to eat when you only had
a name?
Yeah, it was on the phone. Yeah. And so, you had to get up at 6 a.m., make those reservations. So anyway, I was like, this should exist. Like someone should be talking about the food and showing pictures. And Lou was doing a lot of good food work, but it wasn't like complete. His site wasn't completely dedicated to it. And so it was like, all right, let's do this because I want this to be here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take pictures of everything I eat. I'm going to try to cover every single restaurant. And that's sort of how it came about, was that I just wanted it to be there and it wasn't there.
Yeah. So what's your process like nowadays? Like, how do you get, menus, pictures? I'm sure you have a group of people in both places in the States that, gather all this information and take pictures for you.
Yep. We got reporters on both coasts. They're in the parks every day. Yeah. And gathering the information, trying everything. Right. We have a lot of stuff on Dropbox, like a lot of pictures on Dropbox. So that's kind of the way that it's done now. But, I get down there as often as I can to try everything new and to make sure that I know what I'm talking about, when I'm on YouTube and stuff like that. So, that's just what we've always done from the beginning is we're going to eat every single thing that comes out in Disney World and we're going to tell you about it. And we don't say if it's good or bad. We're not going to tell you that, oh, this is awful, don't get it, right? It's just going to be, here's what it is, here's what it's like. And if you think this is for you, then great. And here are our thoughts about it. It's because there's stuff that I would never eat. And other people are like, that's my favorite thing. And so I'm not ever going to say this is gross because what do you care if I think it's gross, right? That doesn't mean anything to you. What's important to you is what does it look like? How much does it cost? What are the ingredients? Yeah. Does it taste decent or good? Like what's the vibe? What's the texture? You get it. So, but that's, that's always been my thing is nobody cares what I think. They don't know me from Adam, but I'll show them a picture of it so they can make their own decision.
Yeah. What are restaurants you have not been to at Disney World? I have a short list. I have 5.
What are your 5?
Victoria and Albert.
Oh, why haven't you been there? We gotta
I don't know.
go. Yeah. Are you just not a fancy food guy?
No, I'm a very fancy food guy. Like I eat at the Four Seasons more than I should. I'll get into that later. Victoria and Albert, Askishers, Victoria and Albert, Cinderella Table, Askishers, and the fancy schmancy Japanese restaurant that just recently opened up. That's it. Yeah. Those are my 4.
I feel like Cinderella's Royal Table. You should. I don't feel right about you not having been there. I think.
Well, first of all, getting a reservation is a little difficult.
Are you just scared of princesses? Like it sounds like.
No, I am not. I love a good character meet.
For restaurants, I feel like there may be a princess bias. Here.
Everybody tells me to go in the morning, because you can go in the park early. I get that. I've done that. But I'm like, yeah, that's great. But that's way too early in the morning.
Well, I mean, maybe you just need to bite the bullet and pay the money and get dinner. Like, stupid. Now, Akershus, I would say go in the morning because
breakfast. The characters are there too, right?
You don't have to eat quite as much cold fish.
Yeah. Okay. I don't mind fish, but cold, no.
Right, like smoked. I don't know. It's just not my thing. But let's see. I think I've been just about everywhere. I'm trying to think if there's any like
Victoria and Albert.
Oh yeah, I've been to Victoria and Albert's.
Yeah.
I've not sat in the Queen Victoria room. I have sat in the regular dining room and at the chef's table.
Okay.
But I haven't sat in the Queen Victoria room.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now on Disney cruises, I've done Remy's and I've done Enchante, so I'm not afraid of suiting up apparently to go to dinner. Nope. But I don't know. It's the reservation, and Len Tessa gave me the phone number and the email address. Because call or email these people. They will help you get a reservation. They'll tell you all the dates.
They will help you, Tony.
What?
I love it. I love it. I'm surprised Len didn't take you. Why didn't Len take you?
Well, here's the thing. Rick Howard had a reservation for Chef Table once, and I couldn't go.
Oh, it was your one shot.
That was my one shot. I'll get there eventually. A lot of people ask me, and I'll ask you, what is it like? You're part of your business. Cambrick does more than Disney stuff, I'm sure. So, what is it like? Where part of your business is about really something you love, your hobby. Do you get like frustrated or something? Why are they doing this stuff? Like. Because people ask me all the time, why don't you just quit your job and do Disney full time? I'm like, that. Then I have no hobby. Then my job has become my hobby, and then I don't have a hobby. I need to go find another hobby. What is that? And then Universal.
Dollywood's your new hobby.
Oh my God. Go ahead.
No, I think that I mean. We do some other things, but for me, it's mostly the other things that I work on is travel. We're kind of moving into a lot of travel content, and
cool.
So I mean, when you say, do I get frustrated like with what Disney's doing, or frustrated with the rest of my life?
Yeah, like what? No. Like, why did Disney, do that? Change the prices on everything. Now I got to go find prices on every damn soda bottle and Disney World. They raised the price on all the Mickey bars. Now I gotta go change the price on every damn Mickey bar.
I know. It's true, and it's like everything on my site is outdated now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and especially you, because you are just so numbers centric on your stuff.
I haven't updated in a long time. I'm waiting.
Just waiting to see when
they stop.
I don't know. I guess I think I've been doing this for so long that like just 2 weeks ago, they decided to change a ton of menus, like a ton of kiosk menus in Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom were just like oh, let's just throw it all up in the air and see where it falls. And so I had probably 4 or 5 YouTube voiceovers in the hopper that were now garbage, and so we had to go back and change all of those. And going back and forth with the whiplash with the waffles at Sleepy Hollow. And it's just like, oh my gosh, you guys, come on. There is a little bit of frustration on my, we have a Slack channels that my team corresponds on. And every once in a while, when they do something like that, when something comes down the pike, and of course it's always being a day when there's tons more news and there's a lot more going on, and someone will drop and they're like, okay, guys, I guess we're going to do this today.
Disney made it.
It's all in good. We all know that we're in a newsroom and that's what we need to do. But we also are aware that, we're very lucky to have this be our job, that this is, that we're getting, we get agitated that they changed the price of a Mickey bar. Like that's a great thing to get agitated about, is what we could be dealing with.
You said you started 16 years ago. So, 16 years ago, Disney didn't really let social media bloggers, vloggers really into their world. Has that changed now? Like, do you now have a relationship with them at, some level where, I'm not saying you can call them up, but at least have a media contact like, hey, what's going on with that, or what's going on with this? Has that changed, or are they just still like, you stay over there, we'll let you know?
Yeah, I'll never forget when Disney first contacted me. I got an email once, and it was just someone from Disney with a Disney.com email address. All it said is, "Who are you?" Because they never seen me, and
there
they didn't
are very
know.
little pictures of you on the internet, AJ.
We're all like, I was very, there wasn't a lot of in there about me, and so it was just, the email was literally just, "Who are you?" It was great. But and I don't know, it's been so long, maybe I made that up, but I don't know why I would make that up. I'm pretty sure that happened.
No, I'm sure they wrote that.
So that's I do have a media contact there who's wonderful and lets us know, if something's coming down the pike that they can give us an embargo piece of news on, that we can try to get it written ahead of time. But there's still lots that we don't know about. There's still lots that's going to happen that we have zero knowledge of. I still feel very much like an outsider when it comes to Disney and what's happening. And so we just do the best that we can. And if there is something that we have a question about, like, we're welcome to ask it.
Sure.
But that, they're of course going to, they're only going to reveal what they feel ready and comfortable revealing. And I respect that 1,000%. So, the same way that any other news organization is going to reach out, and say, hey, could you tell me more about this? And they'll say, well, we're going to tell you this, but you're going to have to wait for the rest of it. So I think it's a pretty good relationship in terms of, what you could expect from a news organization. It's kind of like, I see it kind of like a news organization with the White House,
right.
Like,
I was going to say
you're not going to get most of the information you want, but you can certainly ask, and we're going to have
you have clearance at here, not here.
Right. You're going to have a fine relationship. We're going to like each other a whole lot, but that doesn't mean I'm going to tell you anything.
That's
so I think about it a lot, is like from that, back when we watched The West Wing, you have, that relationship.
Right. Have you been in the elusive food lab?
No.
They
won't let me in.
I know. I have several people that have been there and chefs at Disney, and they're like, I can't even invite you or take you.
No.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
They won't even tell you where it is. They won't. I
know. I had my suspicion on where it is.
Yeah.
But it is behind a gate. It is behind a gate.
Yeah. Absolutely. Nope, they won't let me in. I'm thinking maybe if I retire, they'll let me in someday, just to kind of see it, like maybe like right before I die,
Tell
let
them
me in.
you quit and you'd just like to see the food lab, and then just say, "Oh, I was just kidding. I'm really back."
That would be a lie, Tony. We're not going to lie about it. But no, I think it looks so cool in there. But
I know.
I also recognize that I would be useless because I'm not a chef and I don't know what I'm doing. But they could certainly give me a whole lot of different kinds of cheeses or cheese sauces, and I can tell them which ones are the best.
Yeah.
I'm very good.
Yeah. All right. So let's kind of wrap up. So obviously, where can everybody? Well, let me ask this question: if somebody was listening to this, anybody,
if there's anybody out there,
is this mic on? If anybody's listening to this, what would you tell them about being a Disney adult? Would you say, pursue your passion, go with it? Just find your jam, find a group, find your subculture. What's your advice after all this research?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't listen to anybody. I mean, whether they're a Disney adult or not, don't listen to anybody. Just do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy, healthy, and where you find your joy. It's absolutely okay. And again, just keep an eye on if things start to go a little bit overboard. Like if you feel like maybe I'm doing this more than I should. If you feel like you're unbalanced, you're probably unbalanced. So look into that. But the other thing that I say in my book is like, you're not alone. There's a lot of us who have, been unbalanced and gotten balanced again. That's okay. There's times that you go through difficult things in your life and this is your solace, and that's all right. You're allowed to have something that makes you happy. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. And if you're feeling lonely, go to the D23 Expo.
Yeah. There's a lot of us there.
You'll find a lot of Disney adults there.
You sure will.
All right. So tell everybody where they can find you, and obviously find the book.
You can find me at Disney Food Blog, DFB Guide on YouTube. And the book is going to be everywhere. It's coming out August 5th, but you can pre-order it now. I hope you will. And you can find that Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, if you want to buy it through a link. If you go to ajwolfe.com, we've got every single link on there that you can buy the book through. Buy it for Christmas. Get it for your sister-in-law. She's excited about it.
I saw you have an autograph copy if they want it signed as well, right?
Yes, we're doing that through Talk Shop Live, and then we will also have autographed copies on dfbstore.com. We will have those after the Talk Shop Live ones. We will have more. So there will always be an opportunity to get a signed copy if you want it.
Yep. Okay. Well, post the link up to all those in the show notes too, so people can find them. But thank you, AJ. I had to ask you, are you guys doing a podcast at the Food Blog?
We're not doing a podcast at the moment. We did one for a couple of years, and we're not doing that at the moment, but we need to. We need to do one. So we're thinking about it, Tony, but it is a lot of work.
If you need help, let me know.
Okay, I will.
I've been doing this for 12, 13 years. I don't even know anymore.
I've been doing it for a long time, and I appreciate every single year of it.
Oh, gosh. It's been a long time, AJ. You have to come back, just chit-chat, and we'll talk about food because God knows I love food.
I would love to.
Yeah, but thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
The Disney Parks Podcast is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company. All Disney parks, attractions, lands, shows, event names, etc. are registered trademarks of the Walt Disney Company.